Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of A Giant Issue, episode 2. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Follow me on the YouTube channel. Make sure that you're catching this every week. I apologize about the late start, but sometimes you know how it is. When life gives you lemons, you got to make lemonade. And so I found myself making a lot of lemonade today, which, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's okay. It's not always ideal. You know how that goes. Um, so everybody should be happy now, right? Everybody should be good because the Giants have finally rid themselves of James Bradberry. That's what everybody wanted, right? Everybody wanted James Bradberry gone. Everything that I heard from everyone, people I respect, people I don't know, oh well, you got to get Bradberry's contract off the books. You got to get rid of James Bradberry. Oh, James Bradberry's got to go because he makes too much money. Because they got to be able to sign all of these other people. They got to be able to sign all of their free agents. I know that one of the things that PT Patricia Trainer talked about was the fact that the Giants have to have enough money to sign all of their rookies. And with Bradberry's contract, that represents the largest amount of money that they could get rid of or that they could free up to be able to pay for those other players. But my issue isn't really with the fact that they had to make this move, or at least they felt like they had to make this move. My issue really is more with fans who feel like they have to be the GM. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have to be the general manager of this team. They have a general manager. It is that general manager's job to make it work. It is our job as people who follow the team, support the team, to make sure that we hold that general manager's feet to the fire to do the job correctly. So I want you guys to understand where I'm coming from here. What is this team trying to do this year? Because I keep hearing everybody else say that this is a rebuild, right? But if it's a rebuild, then why did they sign all of these free agent offensive linemen? If it's a rebuild, why did they pay Tyrod Taylor so much money? If it's a rebuild, why are you bringing in these veterans that are going to make a lot of money? Like, if it's a rebuild, then you should treat it as a rebuild. Why spend that kind of money? If you tell me, hey, it's a rebuild and that's why we have to get rid of James Bradberry, okay, I can get down with that. But when you bring in a starting caliber offensive guard and you pay him the type of money that says, hey, we expect him to be around here for a few years. When you bring in 4 other free agent offensive linemen and you give them contracts, they're all veterans, so they're going to make a little bit of money. When you spend the money on a backup quarterback that has an opportunity to push the starter for minutes, push the starter for snaps, when you do all of these things, when you bring in a veteran defensive tackle that could come in and solidify the middle of your rush defense, when you re-sign Blake Martinez, who is an aging middle linebacker, when you do those types of things, those types of moves don't tell me rebuild. Those types of moves say, we're trying to be good right now. Well, if you're trying to be good right now, then A, you don't get rid of a free safety who's been one of your best defensive players over the last couple of years. And B, you don't get rid of your best cornerback. Still one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. You don't get rid of a James Bradberry. Not unless you are legitimately rebuilding. And if you are legitimately rebuilding, then cool. Let's blow the whole thing up. We don't need you, Blake Martinez, because we're rebuilding. Go to a team that's trying to win. I'm pretty sure Blake Martinez would appreciate that. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and get rid of a few more defensive backs. Let Kenny Golladay, thank you, but no thank you. We'll get you off the books as well. Like, let's just take all the hits this year if we're not going to try to win. That's my thought process. But the moves that they've made and the people that they've acquired and the people that they've drafted said, hey, we want to be competitive and we want to win right now, but we also want to build for the future. And I think you can do both, but you can't do both getting rid of quality talent. And you certainly can't do both getting rid of quality talent and then watching that quality talent mosey over to the competition. You can't do that and watch James Bradberry leave New York and then resurface in Philadelphia. Right? You can't watch him leave. You can't watch him leave New York and end up in Dallas. You can't watch him leave New York and end up in Washington. You don't want to be the last place team in the league again. That's not what we're trying to do. So the name of this episode is The Brad or the Berry. And the reason that it's The Brad or the Berry is because we always think we can find something better. We always think we can find something better than what we have. And as fans, we always conveniently, we say we love the players. But when the rubber meets the road, we always go to the side of the opposition, of the team, the ownership. Oh, well, he's too much against the cap. Figure it out. Figure it out. Oh, well, such and such, the old GM gave these people, at some point, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to stop blaming Dave Gettleman for everything. At some point, we're going to have to start blaming players for not playing well enough. And we're going to have to admit that some of the things that Dave Gettleman did were good. The defensive line is a good, solid unit because Dave Gettleman invested in the D-line. You have a franchise left tackle because Dave Gettleman invested in a franchise left tackle. And you had an elite level cornerback because Dave Gettleman invested in an elite level cornerback. Were all the moves good? No. Were some of the moves good and just injury hampered them? Yes. Were some of the moves good except the player just didn't live up to their billing? Yeah. Were some of the moves good except some of the players were misused by the coach? Yeah. See, here's where the contradiction get me. You guys tell me how bad Dave Gettleman was. And I'm not here to argue whether he's good or bad. I'm just going off the narrative. You tell me that Dave Gettleman's bad, right? But then you tell me that Danny Dimes is good and that it's been coaching that's been the problem. That the coaches have screwed up the quarterback. Well, okay, if the coaches screwed up the quarterback and the GM was the one that got the quarterback and all the quarterback needs are good coaches and now you feel like you have good coaches, shouldn't that GM get credit for drafting that quarterback? If the offensive line sucks, except for the one guy who you say is a cornerstone piece, yeah, the GM should get some flack for the offensive line not being good as a unit, but he should also get credit for that one really good offensive lineman, shouldn't he? You don't make a team better. You don't make a team better by taking talent away. And so now Bradberry's gone, right? And the Giants have been able to save $10 million by getting rid of him. We're not even going to discuss how much money he gets just to walk out the door, right? So they saved $10 million. Okay, are you going to go and invest that $10 million in a cornerback? No. They're going to try to nickel and dime and bring in somebody or take someone else that's all on the roster already. And guess what? I hate to break the news to you guys. There is no starting cornerback on this roster outside of the only one that's left. And he is sometimes. So now we're asking guys who are probably not starters or starter level to play outside in a premier position, to be a premier cornerback for us. That's what we're asking of somebody now. And then when the defensive backfield struggles, because you didn't really replace the free safety, you replaced the free safety with a hybrid safety. You're replacing the starting cornerback with a guy who's not ready to be him yet, who may never be ready. We're going to say, oh, the defensive backfield's bad. We need to upgrade the defensive backfield. Gettleman did a bad job. No, he didn't. But he won't get credit for it because you hate him. You hate him because you lost. You hate him. Even though he put together a team that was able to be competitive in games on a regular basis, because they lost, you hated him. You hate him. He's got to go. This sucks. This is terrible. This guy is not good. This guy has all the excuses in the world. Oh, James Bradberry's not that good. That's the new narrative. Well, James Bradberry's not really that good, and he doesn't really fit this defense anyway because he can't play man-to-man. Excuse me? James Bradberry can't play man-to-man? Now, is James Bradberry Deion Sanders? No. But James Bradberry plays man-to-man better than most. He may not be like the top-notch guy at press coverage, but he still can play man. He's still good in off man. He's decent press man. And if we're expecting that we're going to get more pressure on the ball this year than what they were able to get last year, then shouldn't we be saying that somebody like James Bradberry would be a great person to have because he's smart and he'll be able to read what's going on, decipher what's going on, and then make a play? But no, we got rid of him because we needed that $10 million. We needed that $10 million, and now we're going to put that $10 million to use. We're going to put it to use doing something. It's not going to be replacing the cornerback, though, I promise you. Because nobody – I've heard some people say Smith from Baltimore. Man, you want somebody that wasn't having the best years in Baltimore to now come over to New York and not have the best years in New York? Really? There's no answer out there in free agency. The only answer out there in free agency is James Bradberry. But now he wouldn't come back to you even if he wanted to. His pride won't let him. And guess what? Now he's a free agent. He can go get some more money and go to a team that might actually have a chance to win this year because they're trying to win, because they're trying to bring in a James Bradberry. Yeah. It's just unfortunate. See, here's the problem with fans when we try to play GM. We try to understand the moves from the front office perspective and try to give them a pass on the things that they do. But in doing that, we don't hold their feet to the fire. And if we're not going to hold their feet to the fire to improve the team right now, then they can be content to sit back and make moves that we don't necessarily like, but we claim to understand. That's what we do. We don't need to do that. That's not what we're here for. It's their job to make it work. It's our job to hold their feet to the fire. We didn't do that on James Bradberry. We essentially gave them permission to cut one of the best cornerbacks in the league because we said that he's old, because we said that he can't play in Wink Martindale's defense, even though we don't know that, because we said that that's not a big loss. That's because we said it doesn't mean that it's true. Just because we say that the earth is really flat doesn't mean the earth's actually flat. Right? Just because we say, oh, well, there's no such thing as a solar system and the moon landing was a fake, doesn't mean it really was. We're just saying it because we want to justify whatever our thing is. Here's what I know. Last year on defense, James Bradberry was one of the best defenders on the Giants. And now he no longer plays for the Giants. And he will be a free agent for that long. And Giants fans, let's get ready, because there's a good chance he'll be playing for somebody you have to see twice a year. And if that happens, I don't want to hear any complaints. I don't want to hear, oh my God, well, he knows the team. I don't want to hear, oh, well, he fits better in that defense. Oh, well, we had to do it. Cap block. Oh, our defensive backs aren't. I don't want to hear any excuses. Just say, hey, we screwed up. And then we'll acknowledge it, shake hands, and we'll move on to the next issue. You'll have to wait until next week to figure that one out, though. I'm Gene Clemens. This has been a Giants Issue. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Really do appreciate you all joining me today. Wishing the best of luck and all of the graces to James Bradberry and his family. Thank you for a job well done in New York. And wherever you go next, we look forward to seeing what it is you're going to do. Until next time, we'll see you all next Monday. Peace.